A minor reflection on the occasion of the recent assassination event, or of course, it's not really an event, but there's something maybe a little bit therapeutic or almost salutary about it, insofar as um, people kind of perk up their ears when this kind of thing happens. I don't have anything except maybe one small point that hasn't already been reported. Um, Special inquiries and um, various other um, investigations, I'm sure, will continue to come out. But the main uh, theories seem to have already emerged. Um, Perhaps I'll try it in a way to make a survey, like a scientific survey, um, which isn't what's largely done. But quite a few people, I suppose, are simply regarding it scientifically and not deciding the matter in advance. Um, but given uh, the current doubts about the collective instincts to make judgments about anything, it seems a good opportunity to just put something down on record, which then, let's say, of course, there are so many other things one could check that in the same way, but in 20 years and 10 years, I could check and see uh, what the mentality was at this time. And this will be a specimen of it. Um, I think the one thing that actually the reason I wanted to make this is to point out an observation that I haven't heard made, but it seems because it seems so obvious to me or straightforward. It seems so just a direct observation, self-evident, I guess is the word. Is the very great similarity between Edward Snowden and Crooks. Um, their whole the general immediate flash appearance of them seems to me very alike. So if you were talking about a type that would be brought in, um, presumably, since of course Snowden was a technical expert for the CIA and former military. Um, I mean, remembering that most people that work for the CIA, like 20,000, are not spies in the field or anything like that, but they're mostly technical people. Crooks seems totally to fit that profile to me on first glance. So that's one thing that makes me, at least, I can only say like there's enough things that were plausibly suspicious to make it worth recording the thing, but I don't really have any conviction about it. One, of course, the Black Rock thing. Two, that the statements about him being bullied seem to me grossly false, because the videos showed rather that he was like the center of attention and that his friends kind of really liked him. That's the impression I thought I got. He was smiling, he was joking. Um, so I think there's going to often be, um, just as like with Kristen Stewart, for instance, when you see some people say, "Oh, look at Kristen Stewart, she's shy or somehow awkward or something like that," which is so far from the truth of the matter that it's just this kind of delusion can happen. So it's like this guy Crooks, at first glance, he looked like just like a kid or whatever, and it seemed plausible, the accusation that he was being bullied. But then when you really think about it, no, he was actually more like the center of attention than he was like somebody being bullied. Um, so it seems like plausible to me that this is the kind of person that um, the CIA looking for somebody, knowing that the president always speaks in that area every year, honing in on that area, and they find this guy, and then they decide to themselves he's sufficiently independent person that he can take a decision to risk his life on this and to give his life for the country. So I can kind of see that. Um, Beyond that, I couldn't give any um, much more. It's thin, but it just seems to me that since there's the possibility, it's not I disagree also with what people say. Oh, we'll never know. That's not true because uh, Edward Snowden has revealed all kinds of things to us. There could be another guy. That's especially why I'm making this, because there could be somebody that could come out and say this is what's happening. Um, Beyond that, I kind of didn't want to make this because I knew I don't like that guy, the dark journalist, because I think he's too political. He's a political hack kind of. He constantly makes remarks that remind me of the way that people that work for the RT always have some political slant that they put in ahead of scientific analysis, ahead of the possibility of really saying something that simply makes sense rather than fits in with the tendentious interpretation guided by an audience that wants to hear this kind of interpretation. Joe Rogan, I think, made some intelligent remarks, although I disagree. I don't think his emphasis on how did they call that thing that I forget, MK Ultra or whatever thing. I don't find that particularly compelling, just because I mean, pointing back to that and then saying this is the proof of what the, intelligence agencies can do strikes me as it makes sense up to a point, but it's also like everything they did in that is, to me, it strikes me as reasonable, because people didn't know like what LSD could do. They didn't know. They knew that there's a Cold War. They knew that they had to see what the capabilities of the Soviets would be and of other countries would be. It all seems to be not simply a matter of corruption, right? But on the other hand, it does show what the capabilities are, and then of course we know. If you think of the Victoria Nuland and this kind of thing, that all these kind of foreign governments are being overthrown all the while, like in Pakistan recently, in the Amir Khan thing, where the guy, there was a plot against him. Presumably the CIA was involved, and then in order to disclose the plot, he had to show some secret documents, and then he was accused of disclosing secret documents and given, I don't know, like 15-year jail sentence. So it was a catch-22 situation. Yeah, okay, so I mean, I accept to a certain extent the general plausibility of this kind of assassination attempt. Then, of course, you have the JFK stuff, which is usually blamed on a Cuban guy, but of course the CIA was all around it, so that's plausible as well. At least plausible, not proven. Yeah, so I agree with the sense that our instincts are questionable, and I'm willing to kind of teeter into superposition and take seriously what anything that would come forward and be clear. The problem is, I think, is on all these issues, what you get people that are like somebody that's been hit in the eye with the baseball in Little League, and then they're all the time flinching. And so then you get caged audiences, like for this dark journalist, which just will accept anything. And then they fall prey to all kind of charlatans who are pushing these kind of theories. Like And then you get people who will look at the sky and see a cloud or something and tell you that it's the CIA poisoning them, and their evidence is simply that that's the way it strikes them as self-evident, that exhaust coming out of the plane must be the CIA poisoning them, or that George Bush smirking as his character, as he, as a characteristic tick of him, is a sign of him mocking the public because he knows that he did his assassination. I'm willing to say, yeah, maybe, but I don't see they must be good enough that they've managed to both play on the bad instincts of the general public, and on that not too many people have broken ranks. I mean, even the mafia has had a lot more people breaking ranks, especially in recent years. What else? The other interesting thing that I guess I think it's being reported more right now. It wasn't initially reported more. Now was the Homeland Security was there rather than the Secret Service, which makes it a little bit more convoluted, and probably, yeah, it's still there's plausible ways you could say they deliberately had local police on that area with the roof, local police without a communication device to call in when they saw the guy on the roof. And then let me just make one more remark, is that since, of course, I know almost everything I'm saying has already been said, but well, I think one thing that wasn't said is that it's not true. What they're saying is that that's an easy shot to make. Okay, it might be an easy shot on a range, but when you've got people shouting, when you're in the middle of an event, when you have a police officer has just confronted you, that strikes me as very suspicious, that he was able to carry out that shot perfectly. Because so there's probably still going to be more finely calculated analysis of that. But if the analysis is at all reliable, that shows, if it's true that he pulled the trigger and he was aiming where Trump's head was, and only at the last moment did Trump turn, that means he actually hit the target he was aiming at. And that's just impossible, that a kid that was bullied and was anxious kid or depressed kid or something would make such a shot. That's a hard thing to do under that kind of pressure. And so there was a perfect shot. So that adds to the plausibility that he was deliberately selected to make, because they knew that he could make the shot. Okay, let's leave it at that.